Judy, the athlete, and we're here to help you better your best. So I talk a lot about energy and how I feel energy, and when I'm coaching my students, a lot of times I'll talk to them about energy.
Yep.
And I think eventually they really start to get it and feel it, but early on. But I'll see them in a tournament, and there's sometimes where the energy is just so not there, right?
Right.
But their emotional energy that they're not doing well or something else is there's frustration or there's things like that. And I just remember something that you said to me once when I was shooting. You said, "Are you shooting to win or are you shooting to not lose?"
Mm.
And how there is such a difference in that energy and in what you feel around you and what everybody else can probably feel, right? And I just want to talk a little bit more about what's happening there when I'm shooting to not lose as opposed to shooting to win.
Well, I think we can separate it out. I've learned some of this in the lab, I guess more than anything is, there's what you think and how you think about what you think. We've said that many times, and they're equally, if probably maybe how you think, I think might be more important. But so in shooting to win versus not to lose, your focus would actually be on what you want to do, where you're gonna put the arrow or the ball or whatever it happens to be. That's what your focus is. If you're shooting not to lose, my guess is your focus is gonna be on the rings on the side, or it's gonna be, for us, it's where you don't wanna miss. And because we'll often go up and look at a hole and have the decision,
So like
this is where I
sand
don't wanna
trap
miss.
or water or
Right, and then, but the focus on where you want it to go would be winning versus not losing. Okay, so that's the what of it. Then there would be the how of it. And the how of it, I think, has direction also to some degree. So how, one of our key factors is intensity. And intensity, can be measured through what we call approach avoid. And we've done that, hooked up enough of the athletes and done those measures in the brain. And there's an approach mindset. Now, if I just ask you, in a questionnaire, questions that are approaching, like moving towards winning versus not losing, of course you're going to do better if it's approach. Well, that makes sense because that's your focus. Your focus is on what are those things to make you win. Okay? But what's really interesting is how you think. It tends to be a void mindset that is actually more highly correlated and predictive of winning.
from a motivation perspective.
It's motivation.
So is motivation
It's
the same as
intensity.
mindset, or is motivation a standalone energy?
I would want to separate it out kind of as a standalone energy. What's behind, your mindset? We can intertwine them if you want, but it's a very important part of it, right? So here's the scale I see. We've got an approach mindset. Yes, I'd really like to win. Yes, I'd really like to, shoot a good shot, whatever it happens to be. Okay, so, and that approach mindset can be stronger and stronger, yes, but eventually it's going to get to a place where, so help me, I'm not losing this tournament. I'm not. And when that level of intensity, how you think about winning, is high, it's the fuel behind the focus on win. It's the fuel.
Yeah, it's an interesting way to look at it, because instead of it being one or the other or like this, you're saying it's on this dial and we dial it up, and it makes me think of the old sort of 1 degree. We know 211 degrees, the water's sitting there, steam's coming out, it's really, really hot at 211, but it's still sitting there. If you add 1 degree, it starts to boil.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a place on this, what you're saying, on this spectrum, that as we dial up that intensity and dial it up, it's want, I'm going to, it's all of that. And then that 1 degree, you're suddenly in the range of, I'm not losing. It's not going to happen. Right. And you can feel how much stronger that is. And you can see it in sudden death
Yes.
play in almost any sport. When it's really down to it, the athlete who can get that extra degree, who can make that
Yes.
intensity go up, is the one that's most likely going to win.
And that's the energy you're talking about when we started the conversation. And that's why we play sport to me. And that's what competition gives us. And when you know how fun it is, I think anyway, when you get down to the one arrow shoot off or the putt that's got to go in to win. I mean, that's the essence of it. And that is, you know, having that clear focus about what you want to have happen and having the fuel behind it to make it happen.
And practice it, right? Practice to
Yes.
learn that skill of dialing it past that point, get it to that point where it's going to boil, where that energy is so big, it's going to carry the arrow, the ball, whatever it is you're doing.
You know, and you're bringing up a good point about practice, because then the athletes are, how do I get that pressure from that, you know, I don't know that you need to. You got to practice turning it up without it. I mean, it does it for you when you're in a tournament, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can practice it. No, I really want this, and it's a skill.
I think the other thing that happens is we have a tournament where it comes down to a sudden death or something like that, and we don't yet have that skill. We don't have the experience or the skill to get that extra degree. And it's only going to come from practicing it. It's only going to come from figuring out how to fire yourself up, how to get that extra energy. It doesn't mean you can't win shoot-offs. It just means you don't have the skill yet.
Correct. I remember one tour player, and that dial, learning to run the dial, it came from Fire Inside. She had a picture. It's imagery. She had this picture in there. It was for her 2 little coals that she kept on, and she'd run the dial on those coals. And that's what gave it to her to be able to
Stoke
get
the
job
fire.
done.
Stoke
That's
the fire.
exactly right. So when imagery is so powerful, if you can come up with an image or even just picture the dial or start running it, and you will learn it. It's a skill, like you're saying, Judy.
Find what works for you so you can better your best.